So if you'd just like to identify yourself and
Sure.
okay.
I'm Beth McFarland, and I'm here talking about my grandfather, A.H. Morrison, who served with the 26th Battalion in the First World War and served as a staff officer in the Second World War.
Yes.
So I have his dog tags from the 26th Battalion
Yes.
and his dog tags in the Second World War.
Yes.
He was wounded twice, and this is his tag from the first wound.
Yes.
And I see by the, I gather the SW means shrapnel wounds to his back and
Yes.
to his left arm.
Right. And there's his regimental number. 742, so from that you can find out what unit he joined originally. As I was saying, a lot of them joined other units like the 104th and 140th.
He was originally from St. Stephen, Milltown area.
Okay.
So whatever, probably joined whatever was down there at that time.
Yes, that's right.
And those are his medals. We're going to have them redone, anodized, and
Yes. From both wars.
yes.
Those are his First World War
I'm
medals.
not sure what this one is. That's just a general.
Yes,
That he served,
service medal,
medal.
and that's the victory medal. And these are his two Second World War medals. Did he talk about his experiences?
No, on one occasion, I forget what we were talking about, probably Remembrance Day, because my husband and I both served. And one thing led to another in the course of the conversation, and he said during the First World War, he said that's when he saw his first dead person. Because he was young then.
Yes.
And I said, oh, you know, he said, well, there was a bombed out farmhouse or something, similar kind of building, and he said in the cellarway, he said there wasn't much left of the upstairs, but there was like a part of a cellar. And he said there were several Germans there, and they were all dead.
Yes.
But he said there wasn't a mark on any of them. And he figured it was from the concussion
Yes.
of the shell. So.
Yes.
And that's all he ever said.
Right.
Never mentioned anything about anything else he saw. And I think at that time probably it was around Passchendaele, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, see you later. We'll be in touch.
Because most of us, when we're young, we don't pay too much attention to stories people are telling us.
Yes.
It's only when you get older that you really develop the interest for it. So.
Yes. And oftentimes the veterans that want to talk to their families about those experiences.
They would talk about, I know my father served with the Royal Canadian Navy in the Second World War, and the only thing he talked about were when they were in port and having a good time.
Yes.
You know, they didn't talk about too much other than that, but he said he wanted to go see Private Ryan,
Yes.
and we took him, at that time he hadn't come to Canada yet, we took him to Bangor to see Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
And he didn't sleep that night. And he was telling my husband the next day, he said,
Her father actually owned
he
the
said it
gun.
was the bodies bumping against the ship. And he said, I can remember it like it was yesterday. He said, I heard that all night long.
Yes.
Because it depicted it so well in the movie. And he said, that's what it was like.
Wow.
So that was about the only thing he mentioned. And picking up sailors, torpedoed ships in Germany, Canadian,
Yes.
and how to be heard in the water be on fire, that kind of thing.
No, it's an American.
He talked about the Murmansk
M1A1,
one.
90mm.
Yes, up to Russia.
And he did that, and third of the ship's company, he told me, came down with TB.
Really?
Because of the conditions. And he was medically discharged in May of '45 and spent over a year in the sand in St. John.
Okay.
So other than that, he said they weren't allowed off the ship in Murmansk. And he said it wasn't because the Russian ladies were too beautiful or anything. So he did say that. But no, they don't talk a whole lot about the bad parts. They'll talk about the good times that they remember.
That's right.
It's probably a good thing.
Yes. Did either of them, were they members of the Legion or any kind of other veterans organizations after the war that you know of?
I don't know about my grandfather. Never heard him talk about that. Dad was a member of the Legion, wasn't an active member, but kept up his dues. He was a life member of ANAVETS, which is the Army, Navy, and Air Force Veterans in Canada.
Yes.
He also belonged to the United Services Institute, I believe. Is that what it's
Yes,
called?
that's right, RUSI.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but other than that, he wasn't a real active member,
Mhm.
but he did belong.
So his wartime experiences obviously meant something to him, and he wanted to remember them in some ways, would you say?
I think most people who serve, it's the camaraderie you miss.
Yes.
You don't necessarily miss the day-to-day life of the military, but I think you do miss, there's a certain camaraderie, and I don't care if you're Air Force or Army or Navy. And my husband and I, both our sons served.
Yes.
And you do miss that certain, I don't know what to call it, but it's a comradeship, and it's something you don't, it's not the same with other good friends. I mean, it's not, I can't describe it, but it's unique.
Yes. What's your service background?
Reserves,
Okay.
yeah, I had 11 years in.
Okay.
My husband had 32, 33 in, and my sons both served too as well. They were with 89th Battery,
Okay.
and I was with 89th Battery too.
Oh, so.
But then I was attached to 3 Field, and then I was a CIC officer as well, cadet, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was interesting, learned a lot, met a lot of great people,
Yes. Well,
but
do you know if your grandfather or your father went to Remembrance Day services? Did they commemorate Remembrance Day?
grandfather did, Dad never did.
Okay.
Dad always went to the banquet with us, like with ANAVETS, we always had a banquet. He always went to that and took part.
Yes.
He never went to the Senatana, but he always watched the one from Ottawa
Right.
on TV. He said, I just don't like to go and stand in front of a cenotaph. He said, I'd rather remember on my own. So.
Yes. That's not uncommon.
No.
My own father was like
Yeah.
that too. He
No,
served
I
in
think
Second
it was
World
too hard or too painful in a lot of ways. He had a lot of regrets. They medically discharged him, and he was devastated. He wanted to make that his life. He wanted to stay in and make a career
Yes.
with the Navy, and he didn't know what to do. He didn't have any university education and hadn't finished high school. And, had just married my mom a couple of months earlier.
Right.
So, take a young person and they think they have their life all planned out, and life happens and gets in the way sometimes, right? So he had to kind of rethink things, but he always said right up till the day he died here a year ago, he said, I just wanted to be a sailor, just, you did okay.
Yes, he certainly did his bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I think it's important that we remember people that serve.
So do you think it was their experiences that shaped you, decisions by you and your children too, to serve? Or is it just as part of a family tradition?
Well, I think it started like when my husband and I got married. We got married in 65, and he was in the reserves then.
Okay.
And then he said, oh, you should join too. Well, women weren't, at that time, there were very few women joining.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I need to get out of the house and wait for the baby for a while, and give me something to do. You know. So I joined, and I started with the United Battery as a clerk. And administration's my thing, so I just stayed. I liked it, so I just kind of stayed on. And then I left for a while. I had another baby, and you know, life just got a little bit too busy.
Yes.
So, but after the babies got in school and we were growing up, then I decided I'd go back. So I took my commission and went back as a CIC officer.
Right.
And went through my courses there and was CO of the 318 Woodstock Cadet Corps
Right.
for 2 or 3 years, I guess. And
That's Army cadets.
then I transferred over to 3 Field Regiment and was finance officer for a while. And then I left.
Right. So you've lived in Woodstock your whole life?
No.
No.
No, Dad took photography and writing and was newspaper man, and he kind of had to wander less, so we moved usually between New Brunswick and Ontario back and forth. Well, he took on different positions,
Yes.
and he was with the Telegraph Journal, he was a gleaner. So we moved around a fair amount.
And your grandfather, do you know what his background was?
He was a concert pianist.
Really?
And I know early on in their marriage, he was also worked in a pharmacy, but to earn extra money, because I mean, hard times back then in the 20s, early 30s. He played for the silent movies in the theater, in the Imperial Theater in St. John.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
So that was after the war,
Yes.
after the First War. But, no, that's what he did, and anyway.
Well, that's very interesting.
So I think our sons both joined because we were both involved, and if we can't meet them, join them. Maybe they thought that was the only time they get to see us. I don't know. We'd all kind of go together, but,
Yes.
but no, I don't regret any of it.
Well, that's fortunate.
And it's, I think, I'd like to see everybody be able to serve your country in some capacity for a year or two. I don't think it hurts you a bit. I think it'll provide you with something that nothing else can do that same thing for you.
Yes. Yes. So what do you think will happen with these artifacts that you still have?
These will probably go to my sons.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Bob has, my husband has an extensive library.
Okay.
And I asked him one day, I said, you know, we're getting on, you better start thinking about what you're going to do with all these books. And so we've talked about it, and I think he plans on leaving them either to, I'm going to mention it to you, also mention it to Mark Milner, but you know, where's the best place for them to go? To the UNB library, to the Gregg Center, to whatever, because they're all military history.
Yes.
So
So it's a large collection.
a large collection.
Yeah.
I mean,
The local library, perhaps? I don't know.
I don't think there'd be the appreciation for it.
Okay. All right.
I mean, they have some stuff there now, but I mean, yeah. I think it would be better suited in Fredericton, where you have a base nearby and you have a very active and well history department there. So that's my thought.
Yeah. Well, we'd certainly be very happy
Yeah.
to talk to you about that. You know, help you make a decision.
Because, you know, we want it to go to somewhere where it will help other people to learn about our history and be appreciated. And if our boys certainly aren't going to want the whole collection, they might pick up, you know, certain ones they want, but he's got books and movies and, you know, documentary films and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yes. It's a very extensive collection. Yeah.
So, anyway, I guess I wouldn't say that military is in our blood, but it's certainly been major part of our lives.
Yes, yes. And where is your grandfather buried?
My grandfather is buried in Milltown.
Okay, so he remained in the St. Stephen area?
He ended up back there.
Okay,
Yeah, he'd never been there for, I don't think since he left, but that's apparently his mother and father were there, so that's where he wanted to be buried, so that's where he
right,
went.
right.
My father is buried on my son's farm in Wakefield,
Okay,
and my mom just died, and she's going to be beside him
okay.
under the big pine tree.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they loved it.
yes. Yeah,
That's where they are.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. This has
Thank
been
you.
great.
This has been a wonderful afternoon. I wasn't even going to come, but I thought, oh yeah, you better go take your, okay.
But it's great that you have his identity discs from both wars. That's rare, so,
Yeah.
yes, and this too. You can certainly, using that, you can use that to find his attestation paper, find out when he joined up and how he ended up with the 26th and so forth. So his entire, eventually his entire service file, like the one I showed you, it will be digitized and available, so you can find out all kinds of information. Yes.
And I thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for a very interesting, informative afternoon.
Well, thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you too.
Thank you.